welcome back to another episode of the Uncharted Media Podcast. This is gonna be a jam-packed episode, so forgive us if we go at a little bit faster of a pace than usual because it was Comic-Con, so we have a lot of news to cover, so there will be no main discussion. This is just gonna be a news-heavy episode. We're gonna recap every big piece of news that came out of Comic-Con this past weekend, as well as a trailer that kind of dropped earlier, but it's still worth noting. But Josh, how you doing tonight?
It's been a day. It's definitely been a day, but always, favorite part of the day is right here. So
yeah, I'm both excited and anxious and nervous to do this because, oh boy, do we got a lot to talk about this week.
We do. And I think it's worth noting that you and I have not we've not talked off mic about any of this.
No, not a single thing. So, that being said, let's get right into it, right off the top. The big news, well, one of the big news pieces, Avengers Endgame has done it. Avengers Endgame has conquered the beast that is Avatar. And it is now the #1 box office movie of all time.
Which is finally, I feel good because I feel like it deserves it.
Oh, absolutely. And some people are just like, well, it took it 12 weeks to get there. It had to get a re-release. First of all, it didn't have a re-release because it never left theaters in the first place. And to me, it doesn't matter how long it takes because it shows that people were still going to see it. It took Endgame less time than it took Avatar. So I don't get why people are complaining. I just think I don't like Avatar, so I was rooting for this movie from the get-go to win.
Oh, yeah. I think, because I was having this discussion at work with some of the guys, Avatar in and of itself is not a terrible movie, and honestly, the CGI and everything still holds up rather well. And given what time it came out, it was quite an accomplishment to do the effects that they did. But it's nowhere near the caliber of movie that Endgame is.
It is not a $2.7 billion movie.
Correct.
I'd make the case it's not even worthy of $1 billion. But, well, then again, today's benchmark for $1 billion, a lot of movies can get $1 billion. Aladdin is on its way to $1 billion, honestly.
Oh, easy.
Admittedly, I liked Aladdin. Which, quick side tangent, I saw the new Lion King this past weekend.
How was that?
This movie's getting destroyed by critics, and I didn't think it was nearly as bad as the critics were expecting. Maybe I was going in with such a low bar because of those reviews. To me, it's kind of a mixed bag. There's certain parts that are really, really great. There's certain parts that the critics are bashing because it's too similar to the original. Yes, there are some parts that are shot for shot from the original, with the exact same dialogue, and I love that. But the movie at times tries to have its cake and eat it too, of we're shot for the original, except we don't do some stuff. So they copy some stuff, but then not other stuff. Without saying too much, my boy Rafiki gets a short end of the stick, big time. To the fact of he barely even uses the stick.
Oh, geez.
Or his big moment when he's talking to Simba drastically gets reduced. Certain scenes are drawn out and they don't really need to be or need to exist in the movie. And I heard going into it that the making it super realistic kind of hurt the movie, and I kind of agree. Of some characters, they'll have emotional moments or they'll be angry or excited, but the faces, because they're so realistic, don't express that very well.
Fair enough.
And lastly, it kind of is the biggest negative for me with it, of this Lion King has a much better casted movie than the original, but the voice acting for some reason is not nearly as good. It's like you have a picture and you bring down the saturation a little bit to be much more muted, and that's kind of what it was, the same thing for the voice acting. It was just, Not Jason O'Mara's Batman level bad, but
get out of here.
Not great either. Even James Earl Jones's Mufasa kind of seemed tired.
Well, I wouldn't blame him, but I mean that's
Yeah, he's like
unfortunate.
80, so
Yeah.
it's justified.
Um,
Overall, not
on
nearly
the
as bad as people were making it out to be. But not nearly as good as it could have been. I think it was pretty good, but not as good as it could have been.
fair enough. And since we're on a quick side notes, I know you've been begging me to watch Haunting of Hill House.
Yes, I
And
have
I
because
finally, yeah,
it's
because
so good.
my
And how is it?
that was so incredible. I was, I think the emotion that I described to my girlfriend about was, how in a scary movie you want to see the end of the movie because maybe midway they hit you with a cliffhanger and you're like, okay, cool. Oh, I wonder where we're going to go from there with this information, blah, blah, blah. It's like that every single episode. And like, it's hard to drag yourself away because with every new revelation, you're like, okay, if that's true, then what else is, it's, I think you and I talked briefly about the long takes that they use and the distinct lack of jump scares to the point like when they actually use them later on in like the last 4 episodes or something, they actually like really scare you.
In particular, there's one jump scare in particular that as soon as you mention the show to anybody, they immediately go to this one jump scare in episode 8 when people are in a car.
Oh, dude.
I've never screamed so much in my life or tried to hold in a scream because Heather was sleeping at the time. Oh, gosh.
Dude, and so just that specific scare, I think the thing I like the most about it is a jump scare, but it's not like, okay, pause for effect, scare. It's we're having an emotional moment right here, and then all of a sudden,
bam, it hits
scare. You're like, oh god, yeah, it's an incredible show. It's really hard to not call it a movie because it just the quality of everything that has to do with this show is just so high.
Oh, yeah. But bring it back to Avengers Endgame. Um, I'm glad that it's finally beaten Avatar. It's still got some time left in the theater to just keep racking up a little bit. Though I do kind of think that this will more or less officially end it. Like now that the record's been broken, I think people will be like, "All right, we're good." Because I feel like there was this contingent of fans like myself that kind of were just like, "All right, we'll keep seeing it because we wanted to dethrone Avatar."
Exactly.
Moving on to the actual news for the rest of the week, the Comic-Con stuff, we have a bunch of trailers. Some are good. Some are absolutely horrifying, but we'll get there. One scared the ever-living daylights out of me, but it wasn't the trailer we're about to talk about. The It Chapter 2 trailer gets me even more hyped for this movie. I am so down for It Chapter 2 right now.
Oh, dude. So much. So the kid that James McAvoy's character is chasing in the mirror room thing, and I'm assuming it's a carnival.
Yeah.
Is that his kid? Do we know?
No, I think that's no, I don't think it's his kid.
You think it's just
if
a
I
random
remember
kid?
correctly, isn't he a bachelor? I think they're all bachelors, except for
yeah,
maybe Beverly's in an abusive relationship.
Yeah, I
think he
don't
just
know
says
what all the
kid.
details
I
are.
don't think it's his kid.
Yeah, so the first time I watched it without even thinking about it, I assumed it was his kid. And so that scene of it
I
going
assumed it was
after the
Georgie,
kid,
not a real kid.
yeah, either way, I just the thought of Pennywise going after someone again that was so close to him like hit me hard. I was like, "Oh no." And then I just in the back of my head, I heard you say that you were always nervous about chapter 2 being that it does come off as the weakest, but this looks like it's going to be the stronger of the two.
Yeah, I love this trailer. My worries, like you talked about, I've said before on this podcast several times that the first half is the stronger half in my mind. I don't think that's the case anymore. There's certain scenes that I'm having them being teased in this trailer. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do it in the movie. Like the dinner when they all get together again. Bad things are going to go down to that dinner, and I'm super excited to see what Andy Muschietti does with it. But I was watching the trailer with Heather, and both of us were just blown away by how much they absolutely nailed the casting. Like when they do the transition shots between the kids to their adult counterparts, blew us away.
Oh, dude, and what's I'm really bad with names. And this is gonna sound super racist, but who's the black one?
Isn't that Mike?
I think it's Mike, isn't it?
Yeah, Mike, the Old Spice guy.
Him saying you guys got to leave, like, but I was stuck here.
Yeah, the Old Spice guy.
Dude.
And I like, well, the book, he does get more to do in the second half. He really didn't get a whole lot to do in the first half, to just kind of being relegated to a background character. But yeah. I'm glad he's going to be in the forefront in this half of the story. And I'm so excited to see what they bring to the table. It looks so good and so unsettling. That closing shot of Pennywise, almost like scraping away his face. I'm like, ah.
Yep.
It shows a little bit more Bill Skarsgård and less Pennywise. But we get some teases that they may be going the intergalactic route. Did you get that from the trailer? Like certain shots of like them in a group. Looks like they're inside of a spaceship.
Yeah, a little bit. Which honestly, if
go for it, go the weird route. Bring in the turtle.
I mean, they might as well go home. Go all the way, go 100%, or don't try it at all.
Yeah. And I heard somebody talk about it. If this does well, do you see them making more movies connected to it? Because Pennywise is referenced in other King books. Can you see a Pennywise like prequel or sequel series where it appears in some other world, or do you think they should just leave it at 2?
Honestly, I think depending on how they end it, if they actually kill it at the end of this one, I would be very okay with just keeping it with these 2.
Yeah. Plus, Andy Muschietti, if he's attached to the Flash movie, he's going to be busy for a little bit. But then again, you know my thoughts. I don't think that movie's actually going to happen.
I mean, it's going to have to happen eventually.
Yeah, just not with Andy Muschietti, or I think it will be Andy Muschietti directing, it just won't be Ezra Miller in it. But also, I keep forgetting how soon It Chapter 2 is. September's real close, man.
Yeah, no, that flash up on the screen, I was like, oh, wow.
It is 44 days away.
Huh.
The only reason I know that is because September 6th is also the first night of Halloween Horror Nights, and I checked earlier today, seeing how many days away it was, because I'm super excited for that, too.
Yeah. No, but I'm very happy with this trailer. I think the teaser we got a couple weeks ago was like just a taste, and that feeling was confirmed with this trailer. It brought everything up a notch.
Yeah. It's creepy, it's unsettling, it's exactly what we need. Speaking of creepy and unsettling, holy crap, the most terrifying trailer I've seen in years is Cats. Oh god, I was terrified.
Have you never seen the musical?
Yes, but the original doesn't use creepy CGI.
I know. Oh, trust me, I'm aware. The
original
musical
Cats is creepy in and of itself too, but oh gosh, this was a mistake to do this.
So much of a mistake. And I guess I kind of like knew that it's about cats, right? But
I don't know what this is about, honestly. And I've Googled what is Cats the musical about? And people are just like, it's about things.
It's about cats. But like, I always assumed that it was like cats like in a cat world.
I don't know what it is besides just terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Like, all kinds of that main character that's just like, and introducing whoever. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry for you that this is how you're being introduced to the world.
Yeah.
Like, they made a choice, a bold choice, and it was absolutely the wrong choice. All of us are just going, where are the people that did the special effects for Sonic? We'd like to apologize.
Yeah, because this is rough.
And, I mean, you could still see the actors somewhat. You can still see which actors are playing who. But it's the stuff of nightmares.
I think the issue that I'm having the most is as much CGI as there is, you might as well have just done the whole movie in CGI.
Yeah. Or just okay, so it's Tom Hooper directing, who did Les Mis, which I have mixed feelings about his version of Les Mis. I don't think the whole thing should have been sung, and also they should have recorded in a studio as opposed to live on set. I think that kind of hurt the overall audio performance. I think this is the case of just bring the stage play to life in terms of just do the costumes and makeup. You don't have to make it CGI. And if you're doing CGI, don't go overboard. You went overboard. You made a bad choice.
Yeah.
This is horrifying. If more people are scared by this trailer than the It trailer, you done messed up, Aaron. Like, I've never been more scared of Jason Derulo in my life.
I think the worst comments that I've seen on this trailer are all from furries.
Oh no, I hadn't even gone down that.
Yeah, you don't want to. You don't want to.
See, since it's in my bubble, talked earlier about Halloween Horror Nights. As soon as this trailer dropped, people were like, "So are we getting a Cat's Halloween Horror Nights house?" And I'm going, "Nope, that'd be a house that I'm not going in. That's too scary."
Yeah, no, I'm all kinds of done.
Well, a trailer that has a lot more promise than Cats and a lot less terrifying, we think, although I'm sure some of the stuff that happened on set was pretty terrifying, was the Top Gun Maverick trailer, which, looking at my notes, I accidentally spelled it Tom Gun, which I'm much more in favor of Tom Gun Maverick.
I laughed for a good 5 minutes at that.
Which, that actually still works.
Oh, yeah.
What did you think of Tom Gun Maverick?
So, I won't lie to you. If I didn't know this was a Top Gun trailer, I think it was a Mission Yeah, it feels like a Mission Impossible movie.
It really does. So something that got pointed out to me, and I was just like rewatching it earlier today for refreshing my mind. The whole narration could either be about Maverick, the character, or about Tom Cruise, the actor. You've been doing it for 30 years. You could be the top of your class by now, but you keep choosing to do dumb choices. You've done this, this, and this. Just like, you could be a 2-star general by now. Like, he could be a 2-time Academy Award, but he keeps going with action movies instead. Like, this is getting too meta if you bring up that point. But 100% confession time. I have not seen the original Tom Gun or Top Gun.
Really? Okay.
I have not.
So it's everybody kind of like props it up as a fantastic classic. It's okay. But I don't know what to expect, honestly.
Yeah. I'll be honest though, as someone that has not seen the original Top Gun, 1, where was Danger Zone in this trailer? And 2, I actually want to see this. This looks pretty good. It does kind of look like a little bit more of the Ethan Hunt Tom Cruise. But that could just be because the only thing I've really seen Tom Cruise in lately is Mission Impossible and a bad Mummy movie. But that being said, it looks really cool. But my biggest takeaway was, and I told others when we were done watching the trailer, I was like, okay, Tom, we get it. You know how to pilot a fighter jet.
Yeah.
Because that was like one of the big holdups for the movie, and why it got delayed for so long is like he was determined he had to be the one flying in the plane to make it look as realistic as possible. I'm like, that's cool. You're still nuts.
Oh yeah.
Like, why? And apparently he like made his crew learn how to fly too, so it was as authentic as possible.
But why?
'Cause Cruise. And why this isn't called Top Gun Cruise Control is beyond me.
Because they don't have cruise control on planes.
I don't care. But I don't know if we get a good shot of him or not in this trailer, but Miles Teller's in this movie too, which I'm down for that. I like Miles Teller as an actor. Please let this man recover his career after Fan 4 Stick.
Oh, dude, he has though, especially since with Whiplash.
I think Whiplash was before Fan 4 Stick.
Was it? Oh.
I think Whiplash was 2014.
Oh, that makes me kind of sad because Whiplash was incredible.
Whiplash was Blumhouse.
Of course it was.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I'm down for really whatever. I would probably go see this movie. This feels very much like one of those movies like kids or teenagers would go see with their dads.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm interested enough. Tom Cruise, over the past few years, has kind of won me over in terms of if he stays in his wheelhouse, he's pretty good. As long as he's not anywhere near my Universal monsters, we'll call it good.
Yes.
But speaking of monsters, I'm on a roll of transitions tonight. The Witcher, Henry Cavill's new series on Netflix, finally dropped its first trailer.
Yes.
What'd you think, Josh?
So, I want everyone to hear this now and hear it clearly, because I'm only going to say it once.
Uh-oh.
I was wrong. He looks really cool, and I'm so on board.
When doesn't Henry Cavill look cool, though, to be honest?
It was the wig was what I was going to be worried about. But
never judge something by its first picture.
I know. We had
Remember that first picture of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor? He looked cool because he was bald, and then we got Batman v Superman.
Yes.
But I don't know if you remember, way back, there was that first official picture of Heath Ledger's Joker, and it looked terrible.
Yes,
it was
fair enough.
Well lit, and it just was really misleading. But
so this movie, it feels that's the thing right now, is it feels so big scale. It feels like it should be a film, but it's a TV show, and it makes me super excited. I've got a really hardcore, modern Lord of the Rings vibe from this.
Yeah,
and it made me so excited.
With Game of Thrones ending, everyone's like, is this going to be the next Game of Thrones? Is this going to be the next Game of Thrones? I'm like, this doesn't feel like Game of Thrones. This feels like its own thing. When I like that. I'm very curious about this. I'm more optimistic because I have nothing to go on. I know nothing about The Witcher. I don't know the books. I don't know the game series other than they're really well received and they're supposedly really, really good games. I will see this for my undying love and loyalty to the man that is Henry Cavill, because he's the best Superman we've ever gotten so far. And even if his days as Superman are done, unfortunately, I respect him enough as an actor. He's a genuinely good dude that I'll keep supporting him and other stuff. And this just looks awesome. I will say, though, that this trailer is a bit light on action.
It is. I noticed that.
It was very... too. This is our world that we live in, but not even so much this is the world we live in. This is very much these are characters talking. Yes. But not to the point of, I understand these characters' motivations or anything. It's just kind of... Maybe it's because I don't know The Witcher that well, but it was just kind of... It was interesting. But I think I could have done for a little bit more action, but then again, it was just a first trailer.
It was. And the thing that was interesting is they seem to be showing any of the magic very close to the chest. And any of the creatures.
Yeah, they just tease it a little bit at the end when his eyes go black.
Yeah, which was super cool, by the way.
Mm-hmm. It looks like a video game fight, and I'm down for that.
Oh, absolutely.
One trailer that I'm kind of on the fence about, not because I thought it looked bad, just because I can't tell the direction of the show from the trailer, is the Watchmen trailer. So HBO is going to be launching their own Watchmen TV series that's going to be taking place after the events of the original Watchmen movie. We talked about the teaser trailer months back when that first dropped. This full trailer, I think it gives us more of an idea of what to expect from the show. I'm still kind of in the dark of, I don't know what to expect, honestly.
Yeah, same. I like the idea that somebody was attacking police, at their homes, and so they had to have the police start wearing masks, stuff like that. But that's about all I got from this. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, me neither. like you said, I like the premise that in this world, cops are allowed to wear masks too, and what kind of ramifications does that have?
Mm-hmm.
Will the cops continue to do what's right, or will they give in to human nature type thing? I completely missed it on my first view of the trailer, but on a rewatch, I love the Dr. Manhattan tease at the end.
Oh yeah.
I'm very
So,
curious to see, because it kind of like teases Dr. Manhattan a couple times, and I'm curious to see how he'll factor into the overall story.
well, because by the end of Watchmen, the movie, we just kind of assume that he's either like dead or like becomes like a super hermit up on Mars.
Yeah, and they show like on a flash by of like a passing by TV or something of he's still on Mars.
Yeah. So it's
Um,
weird.
my question is, do they go with so the Watchmen movie changed the ending of the comic book significantly?
Mm-hmm.
With the whole like squid plant monster thingy. Do you think they could bring that in at all?
Your first question should be that if I care or not, but
That is true. Watchmen is a great comic, but is very indicative of its time, I think.
I
It is
agree.
very 80s of very political. I mean, political comics are still prevalent to this day, but in terms of the specific political issues in Watchmen, it was more of an 80s thing.
It was. And so with that in mind, then do you just stay with the 80s stuff?
I think
Or
so
do you,
because there's a quick shot of like protests in the street, and there's like a big paper mache Nixon. So I think it's still in that time frame.
Okay, that's fair, I guess. Because my next thing was going to be, well, like then I think it would be very interesting to flash forward and see the ramifications of all this, like 20 years out.
Yeah, maybe that'll be like a follow up.
Maybe, who knows?
Maybe it's just because I don't know Watchmen like
Yeah,
that
I have
well.
no idea where they're going with this.
Don't get me wrong, I like Watchmen. Besides Man of Steel, I think Watchmen is the only other Zack Snyder movie I actually like.
Yeah.
But I'll be curious about this show. I don't know if I'll check it out, but it looks interesting enough.
Yeah.
Another show that I'm curious about is the Picard trailer. So I don't know that much Star Trek, at least not that much of the Picard era.
Yeah, I mean, the Star Trek that I was introduced to and aware of was always Picard. So I'm a little bit more familiar with his than I am any other Star Trek. But that being said, I still don't know that much. But Picard was always super cool to me.
Still is. Patrick
Yeah.
Stewart, man. You can't go wrong with Patrick Stewart.
No, and I like the emphasis they're putting on between his relationship or friendship, whatever, with Data.
Yes. I'll be very curious to see how Data factors into the overall story, because I did some research, because I do that every once in a while going into this. I have not seen Star Trek Nemesis. One, because I haven't seen a lot of the old Star Trek movies, and two, I've heard Nemesis is awful. But I've heard that Data died in Nemesis, so I'm curious to see how he's back in this.
Well, and it's interesting because he opens that drawer and every piece of Data.
There's like chunks of Data there.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I think the bigger surprise was having 7 of 9 show up.
Yes.
Which, again, I don't know Star Trek that well, but I didn't think 7 of 9 was from the same era as Picard. I think 7 of 9 was Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah, I don't know at all what's going on, so they're going to have to clear a lot of stuff up.
But there's some allusions to the Borg, which could be a lot of fun, considering the Picard Borg episode is like the most famous Next Generation episode ever.
Oh yeah.
This one is more, there's a lot of interesting stories behind the scenes with this series and just with Star Trek in general, of people getting fired, of like who's allowed to do what. That's, I think, far more interesting than anything Star Trek's actually doing.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard anything about Star Trek and the whole CBS Viacom thing, look into that on your own time. It's really it's an interesting story to say the least. I don't know if I'll be checking out Picard. It's another one of those CBS All Access shows, just like
Yeah.
Twilight Zone, which I tried to get into and it just couldn't hold a candle to the original. Star Trek Discovery. I'm just not a big enough fan of Star Trek to give it a shot, even if it is Patrick Stewart. But if I'm hearing great things about it, I may give it a chance.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure I can, if I hear good things. Well, I can't even say that because I hear a lot of good things about a lot of different shows, and I just don't always have time for all of them.
That is true. Now, for the last trailer that we'll talk about today, it is one that I guarantee you I will be seeing either opening day or opening weekend, and that is A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, the biopic about, not even biopic, but a movie nonetheless about Mr. Rogers. So apparently this is based on a true story of a reporter that was trying to do an expose on Mr. Rogers, just kind of like get some dirt on him and be like, this is the other side of Mr. Rogers. And the dude could not come up with a single thing and ended up becoming a really good friend of Mr. Rogers all the way up till he died. And this just seems like the most wholesome movie of 2019.
Yeah. I think my one complaint, and I think this is yours as well, is it's Tom Hanks.
Yep, that's my big complaint about this movie. I'm going to be the poo-pooer of this movie.
I think I remember seeing his son in
Colin?
In something as Mr. Rogers, and I really liked that because it didn't seem like a Tom Hanks just playing a character.
I think the movie looks spectacular. It looks like one of the most genuine and heartfelt films that we may have all year. It looks great. But my issues with this movie are going to be the same as I had with Saving Mr. Banks. Tom Hanks is just Tom Hanks.
Yes.
He 100% nails the look. He looks spot on like Mr. Rogers. But as soon as he opens his mouth, gone. The illusion's gone for me. Because it's the same thing with him as Disney. He doesn't do the voice. Mr. Rogers had a little bit higher of a voice. He's got the mannerisms, like vocal mannerisms of the pauses and the inflections. He's got that down pat. He's doing a lot better job with this than he did with Disney. I was not a fan of his Disney. He looked the part, but overall performance was not Disney.
Yeah.
But Mr. Rogers has a very distinct and almost calming, very calming voice. This is just Tom Hanks talking slow. Not Forrest Gump slow, but just, it's Tom Hanks trying to be Mr. Rogers instead of just inhabiting a role. The voice isn't quite there for me, and I think he could have taken that extra little step there, but even when I look at him, I'm not seeing Mr. Rogers, I'm seeing Tom Hanks playing something.
Yeah, and even if it's not anywhere like his Forrest Gump is distinctly Forrest Gump, but even his Castaway feels more like, it just feels like Tom Hanks in a shipwreck movie.
I think the other problem I'll run into with this movie, I'm sure it's a great movie, but I will be comparing it the whole time to Won't You Be My Neighbor, the Mr. Rogers documentary that came out last year, which was phenomenal and one of the best movies of last year. It was so good. And that was...
I was unfortunate and didn't get to see it, so...
It's
story of my life.
So good. It's also hard to get your hands on, so I don't blame you for that. It is so good, but that's a documentary, so it's like actual Mr. Rogers stuff. So it's... I'm sure this movie will be good, but yeah, Tom Hanks doesn't quite nail it for me, but I'm sure the movie will be great.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the thing. Like, Tom Hanks is always distinctly Tom Hanks, but he always puts on a good performance.
Yeah, by and large.
Yeah.
Now this next story, we're getting into our actual like news here. We're done with trailers, I promise. This next one, I'm a little bit worried about. I'm excited and nervous at the same time. So, Edward Furlong, who was the bratty John Connor from T2, one of the best action movies ever, he will be reprising his role as John Connor in the upcoming Terminator Dark Fate. I think this is great. However, there's a big but in there.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything about this, Josh?
No, I avoid Terminator like it's the plague.
Oh, lucky you. So there's some very strong rumors. Actually, I'll put up a spoiler warning here now because I think some of these rumors out there have a lot of merit to them. Edward Furlong, I think it's great that he's coming back as John Connor. It's a good way to. They're already bringing back Linda Hamilton. That's great. Arnie will always come back for a Terminator movie, unless it's Salvation for some reason, in which case they CGI him. Edward Furlong is coming back as John Connor. Great. He was a great character in T2. The rumors right now are that he's going to be killed off in the opening scene of the movie.
What?
Yep. And that forever alters the timeline, but for some reason the Terminators are still coming back, so the future will still happen even without John Connor.
What?
Mm-hmm. And that's,
What?
quote-unquote, Sarah Connor's dark fate is to keep defending the world from Terminators, even though her son is already dead and killed by a Terminator.
That sounds super Mad Max.
Uh-huh. To a timeline that is already super confusing, you're just gonna muddy the water even more?
Yeah.
Like, I was super excited to see, okay, cool, they're getting more of the original cast back. And then a few days later when I saw that rumor, I was like, uh-oh. You had hope, and then you curb stomped that hope.
Yeah.
The trailers so far have been trash for Terminator Dark Fate, I think. I think the CGI looks terrible. I want to have faith in this movie. I like Tim Miller. I like his Deadpool. I think I like Deadpool 2 more, but I think the guy can tell a good story, but Terminator's been a toxic franchise since T2, which was 91.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of Terminator, so
Although I know I'm in the minority about this, I will defend Terminator Salvation. I don't think it's that bad. The one with Christian Bale with his rant is more infamous than the movie itself nowadays.
Oh, you're right. Actually, yeah, that one wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad.
It gave us that interesting rant, to say the least, which is always entertaining to watch because we weren't a part of it.
Yeah.
But after this movie, can we just put Terminator on ice for a while, please?
No, because they can break out of ice. Duh.
Speaking of characters that can probably break out of ice, Michael Myers ain't going away anytime soon. So we talked, was it a week or two ago, that there's rumors that Halloween was going to be shooting its next two movies back to back, and that they were going to be coming out within the same month. And I said, that's BS, but I do believe that they're filming back to back. Well, guess who's right? Because we're getting a Halloween movie on October 16th, 2020, and a Halloween movie on October 15th, 2021. So yes, it does seem like they're filming them back to back, and then they're just releasing one year after the other. Can we just acknowledge, though, that these movies, one is going to be called Halloween Kill, and the other one is Halloween End. Can we just acknowledge that these are the worst names ever?
I mean, yeah, but at least they're not as bad as like H2O.
Hey, to be fair to H2O, that's not actually the movie's title. That's just something the fans call it.
Except that that's what it's called.
It's actually titled Halloween 20 years later.
Okay, cool, but when
that's
you
the
look
official
at
title that all the fans have called H2O.
No, when you like, I remember I had like a 4-set disc or whatever where it had like the first 4, and the label
Yeah,
says
that's what it's on the
H2O.
DVD cover. I know, but it's technically called 20 years later.
That's fine, and I get that, but I will fight you right now on it. But regardless,
H2O
that's
is
still
bad.
a terrible name.
Halloween Kill and Halloween End are far worse names. That when I first saw the announcement of these movies, I was just like, so these are statements about the movie, but not the titles, right? Please?
No.
And so, bad titles aside, I'm always excited for more Michael Myers, but I'm more excited about the fact that everyone involved with 2018 Halloween is coming back. Everyone. David Gordon Green is returning to direct both of these. Danny McBride is returning to write them, which I'm actually super excited about that. Jamie Lee Curtis is coming back. But the biggest get that I think for these movies, John Carpenter himself is coming back. I wouldn't be surprised if he has some creative input like he did with this 2018 one, but not like I'm supervising the script, maybe just kind of giving some suggestions here and there. I'm more excited because I bet you anything he's doing the score for the next 2 movies. And anytime you say John Carpenter is doing the music for a Halloween movie, immediately there.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Because the 2018 Halloween soundtrack is the best one since the original.
Yes,
I'll still jam out The Shape Hunts Allison.
Oh, yeah. I completely agree.
Now, we've talked about it before, but kind of give a refresher. Now that we've got these 2, and it seems like they're filming back to back, I feel pretty confident saying Halloween Kill will end on a cliffhanger. Where do you see these 2 movies going?
I think I'm going to stick with what you said in this maybe something needs to be put on ice for a while, and say that Michael dies in the third one.
In the third one, yes.
Yeah.
So
I think we're going to build to that. I think Jamie Lee Curtis's character gets the death she so rightly deserves in the second one. In the second.
I completely agree. I think she dies in Halloween Kill. That's your cliffhanger.
Yeah, and that's either your cliffhanger or that's the thing that drives her granddaughter, I think.
Yeah, Allison.
To go after Michael instead of waiting for him to come to them.
So actually, something I've heard, this is not even a rumor, this is just something someone pitched, and I kind of like that idea, was Halloween Kill will be Laurie thinking that Michael is still alive and hunting him, going after him. So in 2018, Michael came to her house. Maybe she hears word that he's like alive somewhere, but still just barely alive. She goes on the hunt for him. She goes on the offensive for the whole movie this time.
Yeah.
Leading to her death, and then Allison goes for revenge in Halloween End. Either that or like a Strode member dies, like maybe Laurie's daughter or something, and then grandmother and granddaughter go on the hunt in Halloween End type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, and I desperately need Jamie Lee Curtis to have. I'm trying to think of what kind of death you could give her that would be perfect. I almost don't want her to die at Michael's hands.
I think you could do a repeat of what happened to Dr. Loomis in Halloween 2. Blows herself and Michael up.
And Michael still survives.
Yeah, if they wanted to.
Maybe, I don't know. I think it'd be cool if for Jamie Lee Curtis's character, if she dies in the second one. I almost don't want that to happen because it's to me that if Michael still survives, I feel like that would make her sacrifice feel a little in vain. Unless you did that, and then we'd see Michael in the third one, and he's like actually hurt, like legitimately hurt.
I don't know. Because even
But
if he's legitimately hurt, like getting stabbed in the eye, he's still, because he's not a man, he can not feel pain.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. We'll see.
So my creative juices are flowing, and this is diving headfirst into the never gonna happen pool, but I'm going with it anyway.
I mean, we got Fishbowl Mysterio. Anything's possible these days.
This is true. The end of Halloween end. Michael's dead. Allison, more or less, is the new Loomis. She goes into psychiatric care. She gets a call about a job up in New Jersey as a camp counselor.
Oh, no.
She goes to the world of Friday the 13th.
Okay.
I just want Friday the 13th and Halloween to cross over at least once in our life.
Nah. We don't want to embarrass Jason any more than we have to.
It's true. But somehow Jason was able to play with Freddy Krueger, who's much less interesting than Michael. I don't care who I offend with that statement.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All right, well, we'll move on from one straight-up horror to one horror comedy that I'm not going to lie, I'm worried about, but I can't say I'm surprised. So we got our first poster for Zombieland 2 at Comic-Con this year. The movie comes out October 18th. We got just a poster. I'm so nervous right now.
Yeah.
Because you had Comic-Con, everyone's dropping trailers left and right, and Zombieland 2 shows up to play with a lousy poster. Like, it's not even that great of a poster, but not a single official image, not a single official trailer. I'm so worried. And I predicted at the beginning of the year that Zombieland 2 was going to be one of the biggest flops of the year, and I was hoping I was wrong. My suspicions are creeping back up again, man. I'm real nervous at the fact that they didn't bring a trailer to Comic-Con.
Yeah, me too. The positive person in me is trying to say, well, they didn't want to get lost in all of the other news and the other trailers, so they're waiting for the right moment. But at the same time, it's like
it's August though.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same time we're like almost in August. It's like when are you planning on dropping this trailer, dude? Because I mean, it comes out in September and it's already dropped too.
Yeah, and it doesn't even need to have the trailers because the first It was more recent and people are more. It did really, really well. First Zombieland did not do well in theaters, and also it was 10 years ago. A lot of people don't even know Zombieland 2 is happening, to the point of when they see those fake movie posters, they're just like, oh, cool, we're finally getting Zombieland 2. And I always have to correct them like, we are, but that's not a real poster. And people genuinely don't know that Zombieland 2 is coming in less than 3 months, and you don't have a trailer. I'm so worried about this.
Yeah, because even that first poster that they did, the side-by-side thing.
Oh, it was so bad.
It did not make me feel comfortable at all about this.
No, it looked like awful. Like, I thought it was a fan-made poster. It was so bad.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay as positive as I can with this.
And I try to be positive, but reality sucks for this. It's not looking good.
It really does.
You watch, as soon as this episode goes live, the Zombieland trailer will drop. My concern is that the trailer will drop in September.
Oh, jeez.
And it'll be like, Zombieland 2, now streaming on Netflix.
Oh, bro, don't even. But that's totally possible.
I don't know. Netflix can't really afford too much these days now that they're in legal trouble.
Yeah, true.
But switching gears to some things that I am excited about, we're going to talk about the world of comic book movies, just not movies, small screen stuff, but good stuff. DC, while they may not have had the biggest presence, which I still think was a bad choice, they decided to bring it when it comes to animation and their TV stuff. So they've kind of announced a little bit of their slate for next year for their animated stuff. So far, really looking forward to it. We've got Superman Red Sun coming, which is something I think we said was rumored a few weeks ago, but now we can officially say Superman Red Sun is coming. A sequel to Justice League Dark, Dark Apocalypse War, which, that title gets me excited. And a Superman Man of Tomorrow animated movie. I'm all about all of these movies, but I'm especially excited that we're getting more animated Superman stuff, because with a lot of the DC animated stuff over the last 10 years or so, just like how DC Comics operates, everything seems to revolve around Batman, which is great if you're a Batman fan like me, but if you want other stuff, it kind of does get annoying when it's just like, alrighty, we've got Batman, Justice League Team Up, Batman, Justice League Dark, Batman. Like, I can't remember. We had Reign of the Supermen, which was kind of a team-up movie, which Reign of the Superman was actually really good. I like that one.
Yes, it was.
But considering how big of a name Superman is, and the lack of his representation in live-action form lately, I would like more animated stuff, so this is really reassuring. The fact that it's Red Sun also makes me really excited.
Agreed. And I think that's the other thing is they do have like 4 or 5 Superman movies out, but they seem to have gotten a lot less coverage or press. Well, I guess
all the Superman stuff that I can think of off the top of my head is like the earlier days of the home release. Like Superman Doomsday was the first PG-13 animated DC movie, but that was also 2007.
Superman All-Stars.
Yeah, All-Star Superman, Superman versus the Elite, Superman Unbound, Superman Unchained. No, Superman Unbound is Superman Unchained, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, I have all those, and most of them are good. And actually, I've been reading a lot of Superman lately in the DC Universe app because I'm missing Superman. I need good Superman, and the comics just make me appreciate him even more. I would much rather, maybe because I just finished that story arc, I would much rather would have gone with Superman, Jeff Johns' run with Secret Origin. I love how he did that. I'm just hoping with these Supermans, we get a different art style than what we've been getting with the DC animated stuff. I hate the current DC animation. It's so same. That's why one of the reasons why I'm so frustrated with Batman Hush is Hush has some of my favorite art style of all time. I had that frame picture of Batman and Nightwing running together in Batman 615. It's one of my favorite covers ever, and Jim Lee's art is fantastic, and they're still sticking with the same style. And I can kind of get used to it for Batman, but I hate it for Superman. The New 52 look for Superman is just atrocious with the high neck, the ridiculous proportions. He just looks weird. So I kind of hope with these Superman movies, more so for Man of Tomorrow, which is a traditional Superman as opposed to Red Sun being Elseworlds with Russian Superman. I kind of hope we get back to distinct art styles of certain people. Like Gotham by Gaslight was great because it looked so visually different than everything else. Hope we get back to more of a traditional Superman design.
It would be interesting, and I think I would like to have more stories from other characters too. Like you were saying, yeah, dude. Like it's always like a Batman team up movie if it's not a Batman solo movie. So I would love, like everybody else has good stories too, man. Like let's you've got a whole roster to pick from. Let's expand it a little bit.
Yeah, if you're not going to give us a Superman live action movie anytime soon, give us animated stuff,
or even give us a Green Lantern. Darkest Night.
Blackest Night? Why do you always get that mixed up?
I don't know. But Blackest Night.
Blackest Night, if you do like they did with Dark Knight Returns of make it like two-parter and make it a super long episode. I'd be down for that. And maybe that's how you kill off this current continuity and bring in Rebirth, maybe? Because these animated movies desperately need to get into Rebirth timeline.
Absolutely.
Or animation style. At least.
Speaking of timeline stuff, this Young Justice is being renewed to a 4th season might change the game.
Yeah, just quick side tangent. Young Justice has some of my favorite character designs just ever. Everyone seems to
Oh,
be completely nailed in their look and voice. It's just great. But yeah, Young
and the
Justice has been renewed
storylines.
for a 4th season, and I just rejoice in the streets. It's not going away like it did again.
Yay! At least for now. But and a part of that, I think, is because of all the people that have watched it on DC Universe. I mean, I know people that
It's
got
not that many.
What?
DC Universe isn't doing that great, dude.
I know, but like I know people that got it just for like a month so that they could watch the show.
Oh yeah, whether DC Universe wants to admit it or not, the reason why it had any of the viewership was not Titans. As great as Titans is, it's not Doom Patrol. People got it because you told us that Young Justice was the only place you could see Young Justice was on DC Universe.
Yeah. And it's
and then they've over delivered on every other content, but I'm just gonna be curious to see where they go for a 4th season, because you can kind of see the writing on the wall for the rest of season 3.
Yes, I need to finish and catch up because the rest of the season 3 is done, right? It's on, right?
Not even close.
Oh, they haven't.
They're releasing it 1 episode a week instead of 3 episodes a week. So right now, I just watched episode 18 earlier tonight.
Okay.
So yeah, you're probably not that far behind.
Okay. Well, that's good at least.
But yeah, I'll be very curious to see where they go for season 4. I just want more Young Justice, please. It's so good. If nothing else, my thing with season 3 is the roster's getting a little bit too big. There's so many different like sub squads. I would be totally fine with a spinoff show, actually.
I can see that. Maybe do something like what Justice League did
with Unlimited.
Yeah.
Which that's more or less kind of what Outsiders is because the roster's so big for this current season.
True.
So taking it now to the world of TV, we're going to lump 2 of our stories together. We've had our gripes before about the CW Arrowverse. That being said, their next crossover special, I feel like I need to see. So they teased at the end of last year's crossover that they'll be doing Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is like one of the biggest stories in DC Comics history. And they're pulling out all the stops as Brandon Routh, who's currently on Legends of Tomorrow as the Atom, but was also in 2006's Superman Returns. He will be returning to don the tights as Superman in this crossover. Oh, I'm just happy to see this, because while Superman Returns is not that great, I really like Brandon Routh as Superman, and I think easily he's the most underrated Superman because so many people forgot about Superman Returns or don't think about it nowadays. But he was a really good incarnation for what they were going for in Superman Returns.
Oh yeah, and it's not a great movie, but it's watchable.
Not bad. It's just boring.
Yeah, it's watchable at least.
Yeah, but as exciting as that news is to me, the other bit that's tied to that is that not only will he be returning as Superman, he'll be a version of the Kingdom Come Superman, which I love Kingdom Come as a story arc. Oh, it's so good.
I'm actually not quite very familiar with that.
So Kingdom Come, you know Alex Ross, the artist who does like the hyper-realistic paintings and whatnot?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does the artwork for all of it, and it's one of the most gorgeous comics I've ever read. But it's basically set in the future when all the main Justice Leaguers have like retired, and there's this new wave of heroes that are more brutal and violent than ever before. And so some of the old guard has to come out of retirement to teach the youngins how things were done back in the day. So this Superman is like an old, kind of grumpy, not full Clint Eastwood and Gran Torino, but this Superman has seen some stuff and he's had it of these newbies.
So
like, this is not how you handle criminals.
So it's an old man Logan without Game World.
Not really old man Logan because it's not the end of the road for people.
Fair enough.
Think more along the lines of after he fakes his death at the end of Dark Knight Returns Batman. Of like, we're rebuilding the world in this way now.
Okay, fair enough.
It was on our bad that we left the world for so long. we let it get this bad, so we're going to take things back.
Fair enough.
And so, also, I feel like this is not getting the headlines that it should be, which is really unfortunate. But not only is Brendan Routh coming back for this Crisis on Infinite Earths, 1960s Robin, Burt Ward himself, will also be in Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now, we don't know what role he'll be playing, but I'm so glad to see Burt Ward back. This will be great.
Wait, like the Robin from
the 60s TV show.
What? That's crazy. Okay.
He's going to be in Crisis on Infinite Earths. I highly doubt he'll be Robin, but the fact that you are getting Burt Ward, that's pretty cool.
That is, now I almost want to fan cast him.
Old Bruce Wayne.
Or even an old Nightwing.
Yeah, that'd be great too. Maybe like he's from like, because I don't think we'll ever see it in a TV, like a live action TV version, but maybe he'll be like the Batman of Batman Beyond, like an older Batman. I'm just happy to see Burt Ward back. That's super cool.
That's a nice little touch.
Because he still keeps somewhat active with the Batman community. He's voiced Robin in 2 of the animated things recently, with the Two-Face one and then Return of the Joker, which both have like the 60s animation style, and they got Adam West and Burt Ward to reprise their voice work from the original show. So it'll be cool to see him in a live action format again.
No, I agree.
And then last but not least, at least for this, before we go into the big newsworthy thing that is the MCU, this didn't come out of Comic-Con, but also I feel like it's getting overshadowed by Comic-Con, but I think it's still really cool nonetheless, is Eddie Murphy. One of the most famous comedians of all time, who's kind of been out in the limelight for a little bit. He has apparently reached a deal with Netflix for a stand-up comeback special that'll air on Netflix for like $70 million, so he's getting a nice payday. But Eddie Murphy's actually going to do a stand-up special again. Good for you, Eddie Murphy.
Good for you.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy's coming back for a stand-up special. His first in, I don't know how long.
It should be interesting to say the least.
Yes, I think it'll be very interesting because a lot of Eddie Murphy's comedy probably would not fly today.
No, I don't think so. So we'll see what happens, if he can adjust or not.
I think he can, but also I think Netflix is the perfect spot for it because for some reason Netflix pours a lot of money into their comedy specials. Maybe because they're really easy and cheap to make.
Yeah, I can see that. But also, like, Netflix is one of the only places these days to go and watch a comedy special.
Besides maybe YouTube, but you're not guaranteed the quality that you will for Netflix. But Netflix has some really good comedy specials. Like any of John Mulaney's things, I could just watch all day. I love me some John Mulaney.
Absolutely.
But also, Eddie Murphy in his prime was like the king of comedy. So it'd be very interesting to see in this almost oversaturated market of comedians if Eddie Murphy can reclaim his throne almost.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I think maybe he just had the itch because he's kind of laid low. I think the last I heard from him was Mr. Church, that like dramatic role that he did. Apparently he was really good in that.
Is he involved at all with the new Coming to America?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Okay.
All right, well, that'll do it for the main stuff, but we saved the biggest and best for last, the MCU Phase 4 panel. Before we go into that, Josh, you got a sponsor for us?
Not really. Normally, I just have, like, the sponsors, whatever food I'm eating, but I haven't eaten yet tonight, so.
All right, we'll just jump right into it then. Phase 4. Holy crap, did they just drop a whole bunch of stuff for this?
Yeah.
Also, the biggest question for me was the ordering. So we're just going to go through this in order of things that were announced. And it was a weird order. Like, first up, The Eternals was announced coming November 6th, 2020, starring Angelina Jolie, Richard Madden, Selma Hayek, Kumail Nanjiani, from Stuber, Men in Black, and some other stuff. I don't know that much about the Eternals, to be honest. Why they opened the panel with this, I'm not sure. Interesting decision. This was one that's been heavily rumored for a while, so it wasn't super surprising, but nice to
It
get
was
some official
interesting.
confirmation.
The thing that was weird to me was like they kept like reminding everyone that all these these people have been on Earth for 35,000 years. Blah blah blah. What happened 35,000 years to cause all these people to be here? Also, didn't we talk about like last week that Millie Brown
That was
was
just a
rumored to
rumor,
be in
though,
this? Yeah. Okay. It was
which
interesting
Millie
because I
Bobby
was like,
Brown herself shot down those rumors, so maybe there was no actual validity to those rumors.
perhaps that was the thing that threw me at first, though, because I was expecting Millie to come out at any point. But Angelina Jolie, man,
Although, speaking of Millie Bobby Brown, we will get into a Stranger Things cast member later in the news.
also true. But yeah, Angelina Jolie, man,
She's very selective of her projects, so
she is. So I'm
yeah, I
super
think it's
curious
also
now.
interesting. They made a point to say that one of the actors in the movie, forgive me, I don't remember the actress's name, but it's the MCU's first deaf character and will also be played by a deaf actress.
Which is super rad.
Which it's gonna sound horrible. My first thought is, did you get the chick from A Quiet Place? Because if you didn't, you should have.
Because she's incredible.
Yeah, the girl from A Quiet Place was amazing. But yeah, I thought it was super cool. Again, I don't know the Eternals, so I don't know if they have a deaf character, but it doesn't matter. You now have a deaf character, which is awesome. And having played by a deaf actress, that's even cooler. Don't know that much about the Eternals, but I have faith in it. And looking at the cast, I'm like, okay, clearly the cast themselves see something in this movie. So
yeah, because it's a pretty solid cast.
Oh, absolutely. I will say though that the Eternals is not really high on my excitement list in contrast to other things that were announced. Case in
I
point,
agree.
the next announcement that they made, Falcon and Winter Soldier coming fall of next year in 2020. Oh, also, I don't think we said it at the top of the MCU. All of Phase 4 will be stuff in 2020 and 2021. So it's just a short phase with a lot of stuff in it. And then Phase 5, I think Phase 5 will be announced at D23, but we can talk about Phase 5 at the end of the show. So Falcon Winter Soldier coming fall 2020. And Josh, I know this will make you happy.
I got my wish!
Baron Zemo will be reprising his role as the villain, which we knew, but in a teaser shown in the panel itself, and then some official pictures have come out since, Baron Zemo will be sporting his iconic purple mask from the comics.
Oh, now if they can give him like a sword or a rapier, I think I'll be just super happy.
I'm sure they will. They've released a kind of an official look. Well, at least Daniel Bruhl has, who's playing Zemo. He's got like a jacket very similar to Bane's in Dark Knight Rises with a purple mask. And
absolutely,
I'm all for it. And then Anthony Mackie, who's playing Falcon, has already said he's had his fitting for his new Captain America suit. So I'm going, oh, he's gonna suit up as the new Cap, and I'm all about that. I love the Falcon Captain America suit. Falcon is one of my favorite MCU characters. This show cannot get here soon enough. I'm so excited for Falcon Winter Soldier. This is going into this panel. It was the thing I was most excited about. I will say though, it's probably number 2, but we'll get to the thing I'm most excited for in a little bit here. What any other thoughts you have about Falcon Winter Soldier right now, or about Zemo?
So I happened to see a clip of that particular panel. And Mackie and Sylvester kind of have this. Sebastian,
Stan?
my bad. Yeah, my bad, Sebastian. Had an interesting interaction that I don't know if it was purposeful or not, where Mackie like offers Sebastian the shield, and he's like, "Yeah, sure." And then so Sebastian wears it for like a couple seconds, and Mackie's like, "Okay, I want it back now."
Well, those two already have such phenomenal chemistry. Just watching them in like interviews and behind the scenes stuff, they get along great. That's why I'm great. That's why I'm so excited for the series too, because they play off each other so well already and have a natural chemistry.
Yep. So I'm excited. I mean, I agree. I don't think this show can get here fast enough.
So, transitioning to one that we have a movie coming February 2021. It was a movie that, on a scale of 1 to 10, in terms of excitement, I was about a 3. After the announcement of the movie and some details came out, I'd say my excitement went to about an 8 or 9. And I'm talking about Shang-Chi. So we talked about it a couple weeks ago. It sounded interesting. Marvel's first martial arts movie of like, Shang-Chi's like the best martial artist in the world. It's like, okay, that could be cool, but I don't see how that's that interesting. Then, at this MCU panel, they go, yeah, we got Shang-Chi and the Legend of the 10 Rings. And my mind immediately goes, wait, 10 rings? Like
10 rings.
Iron Man 3 10 rings? And sure enough, they go, yep, except we're doing it right this time. So it's not only is it the 10 rings, it's the real Mandarin.
Yes.
Also, I went back and listened to it, and I think it was our best comic book movie casting choices. I said, if Mandarin ever reappears, put money on it that it might be Shang-Chi.
Yep.
And I said that jokingly because I didn't know where else Mandarin would fit, and sure enough, awesome. Yeah, I went from not a lot of excitement to I need to see this now.
Yes. And what's interesting to me is I think one of the comments that they said was the rings, there's been hints of the rings throughout season 1 and 2. Phase 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's basically seasons.
Seasons, yes, whatever. But there's been hints of the rings throughout the series so far.
Yeah, and even the fact that it's the real Mandarin.
Yes, and I mean, but I'm just super curious how they're going to tie it in all throughout the entire series now.
And it is not Ludi Lin as Shang-Chi. It is an actor known as Simu Liu. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. So that frees up Ludi Lin to be Nightwing if he so desires. But I think it's funny. Simu Liu actually tweeted something. I think he was like 2018 or 2016, something really far back. Dude was just like, so I think it's BS that we haven't heard anything about the Shang-Chi movie, isn't it? And then he like retweeted himself from that old tweet a while back. He's like, oops. Or like, I would make a great Shang-Chi or something like that. And it ended up being the case. I'm very curious how they're going to do this. I'm really excited about it now. Well, it seems to be they're emphasizing martial arts heavily, which is always a good choice.
Well, and I'll be curious if there's any Iron Man references throughout this too.
Probably, but after watching Spider-Man, I kind of want to keep Iron Man references to a minimum because I feel like at the end of the day, everything somehow ties to Iron Man, even post-mortem, and it kind of gets annoying after a while. But the Mandarin is one that it does make sense, I guess, because Mandarin is such a big Iron Man villain.
Well, it's not just that, but like one of the biggest misrepresentations of the Mandarin happened at the hands of Iron Man. So if anything, exactly. So if anything, it would be like a passing, like this. You know, this isn't some little man in a studio. This is the real deal.
Which I guarantee you, this is a retcon by Kevin Feige. He's like, all right, fans didn't really respond to what we did in Iron Man 3. But a testament to their storytelling, it doesn't feel like a retcon.
Yes.
It feels natural to the story, even though it blatantly is a retcon.
Yeah.
So one series that we also have coming up is WandaVision, coming spring 2021, which will be set after Endgame, which is interesting because Vision's not really a factor in Endgame.
He's not alive.
which I'm sure they could rebuild him just without the Soul Stone. This is another one, like Shang-Chi, that I wasn't super interested in. And then they said a detail that made me very curious. Most of the panel was just like, all right, this is pretty boring, pretty straightforward. But then they said WandaVision will be a lead-in for Doctor Strange 2.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just dovetail that into the Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, shocker, is getting a sequel, which Doctor Strange 2 doesn't sound that great. So instead, they're calling it Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, coming May 7th, 2021. That is a great name.
It is. It's a good title. The thing that I'm, and I love in the notes that you've put quotes around it, apparently it's going to be the MCU's first quote-unquote scary movie.
Yes, the quote that they're throwing around is gothic horror.
So not actually that scary, just intense.
You do forget, though, that the director of in the Multiverse of Madness will be the same director of Doctor Strange, who is Scott Derrickson, who did Sinister.
Ooh, okay.
Which is, maybe full disclosure, people at home, Sinister, I love horror movies. Sinister is the only movie that's ever kept me up.
Yeah.
Sinister's terrified me.
Well, and I guess that's a team up that I didn't even think that would actually be really good with the Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange.
Yeah, but just thinking about it, it makes a lot of logical sense. You have the character that will ultimately be the Sorcerer Supreme in Doctor Strange, teaming up with the other big magic user in Scarlet Witch. But also, it was pointed out to me a few days ago, no one's actually called her Scarlet Witch yet.
Yeah. Well, and they've never
she hasn't
exactly
really been Scarlet Witch yet. Maybe that was a whole Fox legal thing. But now that they own Fox, maybe they'll go more Scarlet Witch route with her character.
Maybe. And like that's always been the thing too, is they've never quite explained her powers. So maybe that is what this route that they're about to go.
Which they say the magic word for me, magic word, multiverse. Which they, spoiler alert, they kind of did a cop out in Far From Home, and there's no actual multiverse. This one, I believe, if you have Doctor Strange, there's totally going to be a multiverse. Which this, like I said earlier, Falcon Winter Soldier was the one I was most excited for until they said in the Multiverse of Madness, which immediately jumps to my number one because, one, the potential that this could actually be somewhat of a scary MCU movie very much intrigues me. But it being the multiverse, this is, I think, of all the things that was announced for Phase 4, I think in the Multiverse of Madness is the best avenue that we have, at least announced at the time, for Fantastic Four and X-Men to jump in, especially with Scarlet Witch factoring heavily. You've said it before, and you may be onto something. House of M.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
So, for those of you who may be a newer listener or don't know what it is, Josh, give us a brief explanation of what House of M is.
From the top of my brain here, House of M is basically when Magneto creates an island, right? And tries to take over the world basically with a bunch of mutants.
Sure, I'll take your word for it. I don't know House of M. I don't know X-Men storylines that well.
Off the top of my head, that I feel like that's it. There's definitely a lot more to it, but obviously. But, they've got all the players now, so why not?
Yeah. I don't think they announced it at the panel, but Scott Derrickson has said in the past that the villain for this movie will be Nightmare, which, that just sounds great for a Doctor Strange / horror movie. With it being multiverse, this is very easily where you bring in Fantastic Four or X-Men. Maybe they're from a different multiverse. And
oh, no! What if they bring in Fox's Quicksilver? Because it's a multiverse, right?
But then you'd have to bring over everyone.
No. They don't necessarily. You could get away with that, but just because Scarlet Witch is there.
Ooh.
How like rough would that be for her?
Wait. So, ever since they bought Fox, Bob Iger has been very clear that they have every intention of bringing in the Fantastic Four and X-Men. However, he says they plan to keep Deadpool R and will still be under the Fox banner. What if they explain in this that Deadpool is around, just in a different multiverse?
Or we just don't talk to him.
And that's how they keep Deadpool R, but people know that he's in a different world.
Yeah, I can see that. But just in general,
and that's also where Tom Hardy's Venom lives.
No, stop.
They're never going to cross over.
Wolverine? What about Tom Hardy's Wolverine?
No. Probably Taron Egerton.
I can dream, Harold.
But in the Multiverse of Madness, I think of all the ones on this list, present the most interesting possibilities that we could get.
I don't know about that one.
Although, to be fair, there's another TV series that could provide quite a bit of interesting opportunities, and that's the Loki series coming spring 2021, which will follow Loki with the Tesseract in Endgame when he steals it after they mess up the time heist, and he's going to mess up various things in history. This I could also be an interesting way to introduce some things.
Oh, very much so.
If Loki messes up the timeline of stuff.
What does that mean?
Yeah, or does he accidentally bring people into a universe?
And it could easily almost tie into What If series.
Yes. So the What If series will be an animated series launching summer 2021, based off the comic series. Basically, different famous moments from Marvel Comics and saying, well, what if this happened instead of this? So, like, what if instead of Peter Parker, Mary Jane got bit by the radioactive spider instead of Peter Parker? Or like the debut episode of this animated series is, instead of Steve Rogers, what if Peggy Carter was the one injected with the super soldier serum? So in that episode, we'll have Peggy as more or less Captain America, and actually voiced by the same actress, because as they made a point to point out, this What If series will have all the original characters come back to voice their respective characters. And
which is cool.
Almost all of them, which is great. And better yet, they're going to have the Watcher as the narrator. So the Watcher in Marvel Comics is basically this sentient guy who doesn't really interfere with any of the actions. He just observes and is like a historical guy that documents everything that happens. He never interferes with anything. Basically, picture the galactic version of Rod Serling from the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
And yes, please. We actually got a brief glimpse of the Watcher in Guardians 2, maybe? They're all gathered around Stan Lee as he's telling them some stories.
Yeah. So the one concern I had is I thought that they were going to make the Watcher some kind of Stan Lee impersonator because of that little scene. I really hope that that's not what they go with.
No, they've already cast the Watcher. It's Jeffrey Wright from Westworld.
Oh, okay.
But this is one of the shows that I think could have the most fun because, again, since it's a what if, none of these actually happen. It's just a hypothetical world. And being animated, I think it opens itself up to more interesting storytelling that you probably couldn't get away with live action.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Now, that's not the end of the series, though. We have a Hawkeye series, which there's a guy that Josh and I both follow, I'm sure, named Ryan Satin, who's a wrestling commentator. He tweeted something about, we're getting a Hawkeye series? Who's excited for that? And I went into the comments section, and this guy just got berated with, we want that, we want that, we want that. And I was tempted to be like, a lot of people want that. And he quickly sent out another tweet, apparently a lot of people want that. I personally do. I really wanted to see this Hawkeye series, especially since they announced that Kate Bishop, his daughter, will also be in the series, and it'll basically be Clint Barton teaching his daughter how to be the next Hawkeye. This will be coming fall 2021.
Or be the first Hawkeye.
Yeah, because actually, they call him the Hawk at the beginning of Avengers, which is more or less just Joss Whedon having fun with the name. And then he calls her Hawkeye at the beginning of Endgame, which I totally was the one that pointed that out to you.
Yeah, I'm aware. I'm with you, but it's interesting that they've never called Jeremy's character the Hawkeye. So it would be interesting just to see basically Jeremy building Hawkeye in front of us. And honestly, I could see the traditional purple costume more on a female rather than him.
Yeah, as long as we get the purple costume on somebody, I don't care who it is.
Yeah, fair enough.
Maybe the mask.
Are you sure about that? Because we're getting a female Thor, and I know you're just so happy about this.
I was doing well. I was happy for a while there. Then you had to, like thunder in the sky, you had to come rumbling and crash my hopes and dreams. What Josh is referring to is Thor, Love and Thunder, or Thor 4 if you really want to go that route, coming November 2021. With Taika Waititi returning to direct. Now this, as we said, got leaked before Comic-Con, but the full extent of the details did not. Some of it is great. Others... trying to think if I've took my brain medication so I don't explode.
I'm sorry, dude.
The good.
What's sad is Valkyrie's gonna be in the movie.
Yes, So, Taika Waititi is returning to direct, so I feel pretty confident saying Korg will be in this movie. They have said that Thor 4 takes place before Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which is interesting. We'll see the return of Thor, naturally, Valkyrie, which they played this off like it was some big surprise, but they're like, Valkyrie will be the first gay character in the MCU, to which all of us are just going, didn't they already say that in Ragnarok?
Pretty sure they did.
Because all the Valkyries were. Which again, this is just a weird side tangent. Do we know Valkyrie's actual name? Because I always just kind of assumed that was her rank. Because she's a member of the Valkyries. That's not...
No, yeah, we don't know her. We don't know her actual name. Because Thor was like, you're a Valkyrie. And then they just
call her Valkyrie. But apparently, it's a name, just like Thor. And anybody can be Thor now because Jane Foster's Thor now. Natalie Portman is going to be reprising her role as Jane Foster. Not only that, but she'll be playing the female version of Thor. Mighty Thor, apparently. Oh, so, Josh, please take this before I explode.
Oh, why is it breaking your heart, Anakin?
Jane Foster is the worst character in the MCU so far. Natalie Portman is a phenomenal actress. She's a great actress. Jane Foster is easily the weakest link in any of the MCU movies thus far, and you passed over Valkyrie to make her Thor? Really?
I saw this on the notes, and I was just like, oh, Nathan's heart just broke into 1,000 pieces.
I was excited because she's not in Ragnarok. I don't know what character I hate more, and this is going to tick some people off. I don't know what character I hate more, Jane Foster or Pepper Potts, because both of them are utterly pointless. But it's the same thing as Pepper... I bring up Pepper Potts because it's the exact same thing of Pepper Potts. They, quote-unquote, went on a break because Gwyneth Paltrow didn't want to re-sign. Then she shows up in Spider-Man Homecoming. Natalie Portman didn't want to do any more Thor movies, so she left. That wasn't even her in Endgame. She clearly wasn't interested in the franchise anymore. Then, we'll make you Thor. All right, sure, I'll come back.
Yeah.
Like, she's one of the main reasons why I don't like Thor: The Dark World. The romance does not work. That movie as a whole does not work. Patty Jenkins supposedly had a really good movie before they let her go to do creative differences, which, yeah, that went over real well. It's not like Patty Jenkins went on to do anything else great in the superhero genre. Wonder Woman. But Natalie Portman, makes me sound like I hate Natalie Portman. She's a great actress. I just have never, ever been a fan of the MCU version of Jane Foster. I don't know Jane Foster, the comic book character, because I don't know the character that much. But I just speak from what I've seen thus far in the MCU. She's not a very compelling character, and she's a character that never has seemed necessary. I think the reason why I like Ragnarok so much is because she wasn't in it, and Thor was allowed to do weird and extraterrestrial and outer space adventure stuff.
Fair, but do you think with Taika Waititi being
yes,
involved,
that's the silver lining for this. I think
yes,
I'm more at peace with this that it's Taika Waititi being directing her for this than other directors, because I trust Taika Waititi so much as a comedic force and as a director. This was just an announcement that came out of left field, and at least while I was following along on Twitter when all these announcements were happening, it killed the momentum for me on the spot of great announcement after great announcement. Oh, okay. And then great announcement. It is the one, and all these great announcements, this was the one that was just like, oh, this is the route we're going with. Okay. I'm not opposed to a female Thor at all. In fact, just last week, I was championing it if it was Valkyrie, because the character was done so much better and actually earned the title of basically the next Thor. She's in charge of New Asgard now. What in the MCU, honestly, in the MCU that we've established so far, what has Jane Foster done that makes her worthy? As a character, she's a nice character. I don't necessarily know if there's anything about her that makes her worthy on this, literally, by saying that she's female Thor. It means she is equally as good as Captain America. And I don't see it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, bud. But
want to move on to Black Widow now, please?
Yes, at least we're getting Taskmaster confirmed.
Yeah, so May 1st, 2020, it's the only MC movie that's actively filming right now. So it's the next one that we're getting. Black Widow. I still think this movie's a couple years too late. We should have gotten this one before Captain Marvel, because we already cared about Black Widow. And it's kind of weird that we're now kind of backtracking after she's already, spoiler alert, died.
Yeah.
But like you said, Taskmaster has been confirmed as the villain, which we've said before that was rumored, and it's a great villain for Black Widow because Taskmaster is someone that is not a superpowered individual. He just has a photographic memory and can remember everyone's moves and immediately can learn on the fly, combat-wise. So basically, you can never do the same thing twice with Taskmaster, so you have to really think outside the box. We did get some casting news, so we've got the Mummies, Rachel Weisz will be in the movie. Fighting with My Family's Florence Pugh, which is probably the casting I'm most excited about. And then the casting that the rest of the internet is most excited about, David Arbor as a character named Alexei.
I'm so down with David Arbor.
I'm sure he's down with this movie too. He's just like, oh, thank God people will forget about Hellboy now.
Well, and he's got to do something with this body that he's been working so hard for.
Yeah. How far are you in Stranger Things right now? Because he's got a dad bod straight up.
Oh, he's always had a dad bod, but he's worked his butt off just to get to that.
Yeah.
Because if you watch season 1, he's much bigger.
Oh yeah. David Harbour is just great. I'm very much excited to see Black Widow. I'm probably more excited to see Taskmaster. They're being particularly mum about if Hawkeye is in the movie. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he's not.
I mean, I would.
I'll say he's not because they've said that this movie takes place between Civil War and Infinity War. So unless Natasha physically goes to visit Clint, he's still under house arrest between those two movies.
No, that's true.
So I don't see him. They're like, although they've said that they might do flashbacks to Budapest, so he might show up there. But if we're going by current timeline, he's still under house arrest. So if we do flashbacks, maybe we'll see Hawkeye, but they're being quiet about that.
Yeah, I honestly, Hawkeye is getting his own TV show. Like I think, yeah, it is a couple years too late, but Black Widow needs her time in the limelight.
Completely agree. Now my real question is, if this movie does well enough, I'm sure they'll think sequels, but how would they do sequels?
I don't know.
Further back in the timeline? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Black Widow right before Iron Man 2?
Get out of here. You stop that.
I think that'd be cool. No Iron Man, but what is she doing to get herself into the position that she's spying on Tony Stark, essentially?
Fair enough.
Now, that was the last, actual sit-down interview, people. Everything else was kind of a flurry of, oh, gosh, we ran out of time. Here's news. As he's more or less hurrying up the stage, Kevin Feige announced that we will be getting Black Panther 2, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Captain Marvel 2. All those will eventually be coming. There'll be Phase 5 stuff. And he said Fantastic Four and X-Men both are in development. So we'll wrap things up with a Phase 5 prediction. But it's just nice to finally get some confirmation that Fantastic Four is in the works. Everything else, Black Panther 2, Guardians 3, Captain Marvel 2, that's pretty safe assumption. With Black Panther and Captain Marvel both reaching $1 billion, it'd be more surprising if they didn't get sequels. But just hearing it officially from Feige's mouth that Fantastic Four is coming, and also that when we get X-Men, it'll be unlike anything we've seen before, which to me just means good.
We're going to give them their actual costumes.
We're actually going to make Cyclops the leader of the X-Men.
Yes.
And Wolverine will be relegated to a cool side character.
Yes.
Because I love Wolverine, but that's essentially what he is in the comics, is a cool side character.
He is.
But
Don't you dare.
What are you most excited for? Fantastic Four,
yeah,
you
are skipping 2, the thing that I was most excited. I'm pissed. You're skipping something right now.
No, really I'm not. Obsessed. No, I'm going in order. I'm going in order of what was announced.
Okay.
That last announcement was literally as the show was ending.
Okay, fine.
I have not forgot about it because that's the one that's blowing up the most.
I was about to come after you. But I could care less about a Captain Marvel movie.
Amen.
Black Panther, sure. I'm down.
Especially
whatever.
if we get Kraven, which my theory is actually picking up a lot of traction.
It is, and that'd be super cool. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, sure.
James Gunn's having some fun with Guardians 3 on Twitter. People are just like, why didn't you say anything about Guardians 3? He's like, I'm basically working on Suicide Squad. Which, as a DC fan, I'm just like, good for you. And then somebody asked him something else of just like, just something about like, is Drax gonna be in? Is Thor gonna be in it? He's like, no, Thor's not gonna be in Suicide Squad.
Attaboy, James Gunn. But
yeah, I think honestly, our Phase 5 stuff. But I'm most excited for Fantastic Four, obviously.
Yeah, obviously, same. Mainly because I feel like they know that they can't screw it up.
And it's Kevin Feige. I think that's besides X-Men, that's the one that he's wanted for a while. Besides Spider-Man, but that's going to take a little bit longer to get him.
Yes.
So the news that I'm sure Josh is clearly chomping at the bit to talk about, as am I, is as the show is coming to a close, Kevin Feige's like, we got one more surprise. Please welcome to the stage 2-time Academy Award winner Mahershala Ali, who was already a friend to the MCU, as he was Cottonmouth in, was it Luke Cage on Netflix? Which that just confirms to me that Netflix doesn't count. But also, he voiced the Prowler in Into the Spider-Verse. So he came out onto the stage.
Oh, okay.
He came onto the stage, and everyone's wearing a hat for Black Widow, and Mahershala Ali had his own hat, and Kevin Feige's like, oh, what kind of hat you got? And he puts on the hat, and it just says, Blade. Mahershala Ali is our new Blade.
God go. And I think the thing...
It was the only surprise of the show, honestly. But it was a good surprise.
Yeah. From what I heard, he actually really wanted Blade to happen and pitched the whole idea to Feige.
Yeah, supposedly after he won his second Academy Award for Green Book, his first one was Moonlight. After he won his second Academy Award, he called Kevin Feige and was just like, I want to be Blade. And Kevin Feige's like, when Mahershala Ali calls you, you answer.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so stoked. And I think the more what I'm more stoked about is how involved Blade could potentially be with the actual whole MCU.
Yes. Something somebody brought up, not a huge concern, but it is something worth noting. By the time, if it does come out in 2022, which it seems like it might, Mahershala Ali will be 48, which is kind of a little older to be starting your superhero phase, but I don't think that'll be a big detail in the long term. I hadn't even thought about this, primarily just because, legally speaking, I didn't know who Blade belonged to, in all honesty, because I thought he was one of those weird characters like Namor that belonged to a couple different people. But as soon as they said Blade and I saw Mahershala Ali, I was like, yes, just yes.
Absolutely.
So for those unfamiliar, Blade is a half human, half vampire vampire hunter, essentially. So he's part human, part vampire, but he hunts vampires.
It's going to be interesting to see, because we're out of that 90s cringe vampire phase
of
the
movies. Punisher only hunted vampires.
Yes. I'm very curious about what direction we're going to go with this, because the only vampire hunting movie that we've had recently was, I want to say, Abraham Lincoln.
Yes. And it's a shame they're not connected, but a crossover that could have been great is Blade meets Morbius.
Oh, yes.
But too bad they're not connected. Because we're getting a Morbius movie next year, but those are separate universes.
Yeah, it would be.
Also, I just would have loved to see Mahershala Ali kill Jared Leto as Morbius.
I think also just the idea that Blade could actually fight side by side by Doctor Strange.
Oh, if one of the universes that Doctor Strange goes to in Multiverse of Madness is hell and has to fight undead creatures, and that's kind of our back door, yes, please.
Oh, dude, that would be awesome.
You know who they could introduce in Multiverse of Madness? I hadn't even thought about this until now. This is going to make some Spider-Man fans shudder because they don't want to think about it. But Mephisto.
Who?
So, Mephisto is more or less the devil, essentially. I don't think they'll go this route, but in the comics, Spider-Man, Aunt May was dying, and so Spider-Man made a deal with Mephisto that he could no longer be married to Mary Jane and have his kids, his timeline would get reset if that meant Aunt May survived. It was a stupid decision. It was one of the most hated Spider-Man storylines of all time, but Mephisto is still a pretty well-known character in Marvel Comics, and a very powerful character at that. So, I want more out there characters like Mephisto, like Nightmare, any basically villain from Blade, now that we're getting Blade.
Yeah. The possibilities are endless.
Just the fact that we're getting Blade. I didn't guess that was going to happen.
I think my go-to saying lately has been, it's 2019, man. We got Fishbowl, Mysterio, anything is possible.
Except the Nightwing movie.
I wouldn't count that out just yet.
So that's about it for anything official stuff that was announced. So there's a lot of stuff that wasn't officially announced, like an Avengers 5, or what they're doing with Fantastic Four, what they're doing with X-Men. So my theory with this is D23 is later this year in August, and that's like Disney's Comic-Con, except it's just Disney properties like Disney, Marvel, Star Wars. It's probably where we'll get our next Star Wars trailer. I would not be surprised at all if we get movies for 2022 or Phase 5 movies announced at D23. Because Disney's trying to make D23 a bigger and bigger event every time. So I would not be surprised at all if we get even more Marvel news come D23.
It would be definitely be interesting.
Because 2021 is not that far away. This is a very short phase. Granted, we have a lot of stuff in it, but it's a very short phase. And I bet we have a lot of stuff coming in 2022 and beyond.
Oh, easily. I think this is just like the lull kind of thing. They're not gonna
it's the
build
slow
off
rebuilding
of this.
Of the team.
Yeah, it's just gonna. They gotta basically start all over.
The way I would equate it is you have your high school basketball team, and 3 out of the 5 starters are seniors, and the rest of your bench are freshmen and sophomores. You're gonna have to take some time to get them back to the level that they were at. You're not a bad team. You gotta refresh your roster a little bit and reevaluate what you got.
Exactly.
But the future looks very, very bright for Marvel. It was a really good Comic-Con this year. I didn't know what they were gonna announce. Not just for Marvel, it was just a good year for announcements in general. I think Blade was one of the big takeaways. Marvel knocked it out of the park. I didn't know what they were gonna bring to the table. I just knew all eyes were on them, but they stepped up big. Of all the things that were announced at Comic-Con, what's your biggest takeaway from this year, Josh?
I think I want to say that the Doctor Strange film, I think, is going to change the Marvel game a lot more than I think people are giving it credit for. Companies seem to be trying to focus more on actually good told stories rather than just, hey, you know, it'd be really fun to do. But yeah, that's I think we're going to have a pretty good a couple of years of movies coming up.
Oh, I completely agree. I'm very excited to see where we go. And clearly, as we know, as some smart aleck journalists will write with every superhero movie, we have so much comic book fatigue. Nice to see that that's not the case, and we're not going to be short on superhero films anytime soon, or just good movies to experience. Well, what did you guys make of all this big Comic-Con announcement this year? What were some of the big highlights, lowlights? Let us know in the comments below. We always like hearing from you guys. And as always, if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, subscribe to us on whatever audio platform you listen to us on, whether that's Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. Or if you haven't already, subscribe to us on the main YouTube channel at Uncharted Media. And as always, stay sharp, movie guys and gals.